Let's be honest, love and crushes don't make any sense when you're in the middle of them. One minute, you're thinking clearly, rationally, going about your day. The next, you catch someone's eye for half a second, and suddenly your heart skips a beat. Your thoughts spiral into a montage of imagined scenarios, and you're mentally naming your future kids before you've even learned their last name. It's wild, right? But what's even wilder is that it's not random. In fact, it's highly predictable, and your brain is the one secretly calling the shots. Welcome back to PsychBytes, where we untangle the emotional chaos with science. And today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing questions of all. Why do we crush so hard? What's really going on behind the scenes when we fall for someone? And why can it feel so overwhelming, even when nothing has actually happened? Now, here's a question for you, because I'm curious. Have you ever developed a completely unexpected crush on someone just because you were around them a lot? Or did someone become irresistible the moment they made you laugh or held eye contact for just a second too long? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how your brain tricked you into falling head over heels. Okay, so let's begin. Here's what most people don't realize. Falling in love or developing a crush isn't just an emotional experience. It's a neurological and biochemical event. The moment you're attracted to someone, your brain lights up in very specific, measurable ways. According to studies using fMRI scans, particularly those led by Dr. Helen Fisher, falling in love activates the same part of the brain that is stimulated by addictive substances, like cocaine. That's right, your crush is essentially a drug. The main player here, dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for reward, pleasure, and motivation. When your brain senses potential for emotional or romantic connection, it floods your system with dopamine, which is why you suddenly feel euphoric, excited, even giddy. It's also the reason why you can't stop thinking about them. Your brain is hooked on the high. And because dopamine is also involved in goal-directed behavior, that's where the obsession kicks in. You don't just want to think about them. You want to get closer to them, learn more, interact, and maybe even touch. But dopamine isn't the only chemical in the mix. Norepinephrine is another big player. It heightens alertness, increases your heart rate, and contributes to that slightly out-of-body sensation when you're around someone you like. It's why you feel flustered, why your stomach flips, and why you might lose your train of thought mid-sentence when your crush is nearby. These chemicals create a perfect storm that makes your body hyper-aware and ultra-sensitive to everything that person says or does. And it doesn't stop with emotions and energy. Your brain starts focusing intensely. In fact, one of the most mind-blowing findings from research on crushes is how they impact attention systems. When you're infatuated, your brain prioritizes stimuli related to your crush. It's almost as if their existence gets a VIP pass in your consciousness. You notice their laugh in a crowded room, pick up on their cologne in a hallway full of people, and read way too much into a one-word text because your brain is now wired to highlight them above all else. But here's the kicker. Often, your attraction to someone isn't even about the person. It's about your brain's interpretation of them. And much of that is based on familiarity. There's a psychological phenomenon called the mere exposure effect, which basically means the more you're exposed to someone, the more you start to like them, even if you didn't feel a spark at first. This is why so many people end up crushing on someone at work, in class, or at the gym. The people you see regularly. Your brain starts forming associations like, hey, this person is always around. I feel safe. Maybe I like them. And over time, those neutral interactions start to feel warm, comforting, even attractive. And then things get deep, really deep. Because research also shows we often fall for people who, in some way, mirror emotional patterns from our early caregivers. This is where psychodynamic theory steps in. It's not about physical resemblance, it's about emotional familiarity. If you had a warm, responsive parent, you might be drawn to nurturing, emotionally open partners. But if you grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent or conditional, your brain might interpret emotional unavailability as normal, even magnetic. We don't fall for people by accident. We fall for what feels familiar. And sometimes, Familiar doesn't always mean healthy. That's why people often find themselves chasing after emotionally distant or unavailable partners again and again, even when they logically know better. Now, let's go even further, into the realm of biology. Believe it or not, your body scent and theirs play a bigger role in attraction than most people realize. Your body releases pheromones, chemical signals that aren't consciously detectable, but that your brain picks up and processes anyway. One famous study from the University of Bern found that women were more attracted to the natural scent of men whose MHC genes, which are related to immune system function, were very different from their own. This suggests that humans are biologically wired to seek out genetic diversity, which results in stronger potential offspring. Translation: you might be crushing on someone because your immune systems are complementary. And here's where things get a little magical. Love actually rewires your brain. When you're in love, or even experiencing a strong crush, your brain starts altering neural pathways to make room for this new emotional connection. Activity in your amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting threats and fear, begins to decrease, which means you feel less afraid, more trusting, and far more willing to overlook imperfections. That same love rush also dampens activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for rational thought and decision-making. So if you've ever caught yourself doing something totally uncharacteristic, like canceling plans just to catch a glimpse of them, or staying up till 3 a.m., overanalyzing a text, it's not just you being irrational. It's your prefrontal cortex taking a temporary nap while your limbic system runs the show. This also explains why we sometimes get crush blind. You know that feeling when everyone around you sees the red flags, except you? That's because your judgment system is on low power mode, while your dopamine-fueled imagination is driving the car. Now let's talk about confidence, because this is one of the most consistent findings in attraction research. People who exude self-assuredness are seen as more attractive, not because they're the loudest in the room, but because they carry themselves with comfort and presence. According to studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, traits like authenticity, warmth, and emotional expressiveness often rank higher than physical appearance when it comes to attraction. So someone might not be a model, but if they speak with certainty, make eye contact, and own their space, they become magnetic. That kind of confidence signals to your brain, this person is emotionally safe. They won't disappear when things get hard. And that's incredibly attractive on a subconscious level. And here's a fun fact you might not expect. Your communication style can also influence attraction. Enter the chameleon effect. This is when people subconsciously mimic each other's gestures, speech patterns, or posture. It's not fake or manipulative. It's a natural, automatic process that creates a feeling of social harmony and connectedness. When someone subtly mirrors your body language or starts picking up your phrases, your brain picks up on the similarity and feels more emotionally bonded. It's like a secret code for we're in sync. And let's not forget the most romantic part. Love and crushes activate different, but equally powerful areas of the brain. Crushes fire up the dopamine-rich reward system linked with desire and motivation. But long-term love activates regions tied to security, attachment, and bonding, like the ventral pallidum and hypothalamus. This means that while a crush is intoxicating and intense, real love is rooted in comfort and safety. Both are beautiful, but they operate on different neural tracks, which is why we can sometimes feel confused, wondering whether we're truly in love or just caught in a neurochemical whirlwind. So if you've ever wondered why your crush consumes your thoughts, or why you feel like a slightly less logical version of yourself around someone you're into, just remember, your brain is doing what it was designed to do. It's reading signals, calculating compatibility, evaluating emotional and biological safety, and giving you a chemical nudge toward connection. And honestly, that's kind of amazing. And if you're curious whether someone might secretly be crushing on you, don't miss our video on 6 science-backed signs someone has a secret crush on you. Because sometimes all it takes is knowing how to read the signs. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss another deep dive into the beautifully strange world of love, psychology, and human behavior. See you in the next one.